A heavy suspension for Tristan Xerri, the leading contender to the All-Australian ruckman, hit with a 3-match ban.
What did we learn from the season's most pivotal round as fortunes rise and fall in the run to the finals?
And the Jack Graham controversy as it played out behind the scenes. The Eagles and Giants coaches join us.
We talked about is step into it, embrace all of it.
Get in the room and fix it.
It's unedifying for a senior coach to do that.
They're on the side of caution with the brain. Take the man off.
They played the best footy I've ever seen at the start of the season. And if you'd said Brisbane lift the cup, I would have said, of course they do.
It's the stuff that legends are made of.
What is holding the ball? I don't think I could answer it clearly right now.
I could do something wrong, you know, and I need to go. And the board sacks me.
The fans love it, and with no fans, no 360, right?
All the angles of round 18 lie ahead of us. Gaz, it's nice to see you.
It's about to open up then. Nice to have you back, Gerard. You've been just a short little sabbatical over to the States.
In a dance, Dad, for a week?
Bit of Viper Room action.
Not quite.
Well, you didn't whip over to Vegas for 24 hours?
The dance dads are a resourceful lot. They found the AFL on US TV.
Oh, that's...
Fox Sports too.
The dance dads... Viper Room just doesn't quite mesh. Lovely to have you back. I know you had a good break, so that's a good thing.
Some games, though, shouldn't be seen at home, let alone abroad.
Single-handedly, if you could have pulled off Richmond and Essendon off all airwaves over in America, if we had any ambition to take the game to the States, that would have killed it dead in the water, Gerard. It was one of those nights, Saturday night, but there was plenty of good footy to talk about.
Did you keep your sense of humour about you?
The words of Kerry Packer, I only got a couple of bits of indirect advice for the great man, and that was, don't you ever talk down a game that I've paid millions for, son. So I continued to try, and I was one of the last of the Mohicans selling it hard, but in the end, there was a passenger player, I just said, no, that's it.
That's it.
Sorry, Kerry, that's it. Can't help you.
Here's what we've got lined up for you tonight on Coaches Night. Adam Kingsley and Andrew McQualter are going to join us. All that's happened in the round and the aftermath. And what a couch this is tonight. What a special edition. Not only Lee Matthews, but Mike Sheehan's here as well.
Jeez, the budget's been blown right out of the water. I just saw the commissioner wander in. So Lee's been here a few times, but to have Matthews and Sheehan back on the couch... bit of advice for Geordie and Jack. Just sit back, boys. Just sit back and let them run tonight.
All right, tomorrow night, Zach Merritt is going to join us. These are crisis times at Essendon. The injury plague is just extraordinary. And Jeremy Howe, who's having a magnificent season, has got his own injury setback, so we'll hear from him. Razor will be in, and then Wednesday night, our favourite duo, Adam Simpson, John Longmire. Now, Jonathan Brown, we've left the kicker off there. He's going to join us from Vegas.
Speaking of Vegas, at 1:30 in the morning, too.
What, is Viper Room in Vegas?
That's No, that's down the LA way, but there's plenty in Vegas that can have Jonathan putting down a path that would suggest you must watch that interview at 1:30. When is that? Wednesday. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that already.
All right. Every Monday night starts with the awarding of the GVPs, the most valuable players from the previous round in the estimation of just one man, Gary Lyon. It is the most sought-after prize in footy, the Ford Mustang, valued at $93,000. Iconic design, unreal performance, 5-litre V8 engine. If you are going to get hot in winter, now would be a good time. Reel off 3 games on the way in.
Exactly.
And win your way into the driver's seat.
It's still winnable from anywhere. They're about to go in camera. Joey didn't make a mess of it when he gave the votes whilst I was away. So Andrew Brayshaw gets a winner. I think it's his first votes for the year. I love that game. When there's so much on the line, that's where you judge players, and I think the whole Fremantle Footy Club stepped up, but his leadership was outstanding. Laid 14 tackles, I think I see here. Yep, they had 29 possessions. Long been a fan of Brayshaw and Sarong, who's been a little bit quieter in recent weeks, but they both got back to it against a very good opposition, so he gets his first votes.
Additional valour for carrying out the post-match interview whilst bleeding.
I didn't see the interview, but I saw him singing the song with an ice pack on his head, holding...
Is there blood trickling down the side of it?
Francis Burke.
Good for his image, I reckon.
Exactly right.
2.
Riley Thilthorpe, the big fella. I don't know if these are his first. No, this is his second lot. He's a Leviathan. It was great to watch. I love this game as well because... and we'll talk about it in a moment, big forwards against defences that had needed to be tested, and one defence didn't stand up and one did, and on the back of this bloke mainly, kicking 6 goals straight. That's the other thing I love about him. We said this early in the year, they've got a really dangerous forward line that kick goals, take their opportunities. So he's a monster.
Our next-gen key forwards have emerged this year, haven't they?
Yep. You got Darcy Thilthorpe, Cadman, Shannon Neal, Georgiades. They're everywhere. Brings a tear to your eye, Jerry.
And the three.
Couldn't find a key forward for the three because Matthew Rowell was just irrepressible on Friday night. In the biggest game, you know, it was the build-up, the biggest game for the Gold Coast Suns, and you just kind of knew that it'd be Rowell and Anderson and Tuke Miller as well at the start of the game until he got a hamstring. But he was just extraordinary. He tackled his way. He tackled them into submission in the end. Josh Dacos played a last quarter that won't be matched, I don't think, for the season. But 32 touches, 13 tackles, 18 contested, 12 clearances, and he kicked 2 goals. He kicked big goals. His first one was outside 50. So he's just a superstar, that lad. Right. So he's a mover.
He is. He's up to 6. You could easily see him making his charge in the back portion of this season. Patrick Dangerfield continues to lead 9. Toby Green, Jesse Hogan, Matt Rowell on 6, and Steelside Bottom and Cozzy Pickett there on 5. All right, let's get into the agenda. And at the top of it, North Melbourne ruckman Tristan Xerri has been banned for 3 matches for a hit which knocked out Tom Sparrow cold at the MCG yesterday. It has ramifications on a few fronts, including the race to the All-Australian ruckman, where in some minds he had been the presumptive pick.
Yeah, I haven't really had a good look at it, and I don't really want to make any comment on it other than my first concern was for Tom and his family. Like, it looked nasty.
Gee, he's out cold, and that is not good news. And you can see there's a bit of biff on afterwards as well.
Yeah, I thought it was high. Once I saw my teammate down, I knew I had to sort of respond.
Full blood rule, North Melbourne.
When it's a competitive game of footy and there's a lot of numbers around the ball, sometimes accidents like that are going to happen.
So that's reckless. He's going to... Yeah, he'll see some time for that. I don't think it was anything untoward for it, but he's got it wrong.
Yep.
We're all disappointed when any player gets injured, but that's the game, and there's always things that happen like that are just unfortunate circumstances that are the result of 18 bulls going at each other.
Oh, he was out before he hit the ground. Cherry's going over there now.
Yeah,
just
of course,
He's gone over to apologise, but the boys wouldn't let him.
The question was trailing arm or swinging arm. Was it an accident or was it careless? It doesn't have to be any more than careless. And in the estimation of the MRO, Michael Christian, it met the bill. It was clearly severe impact and it was obviously high to the head. Knocked a player out cold. So it had some of the trappings of the Connor Nash suspension from earlier in the year. How did you see it?
My flinch reaction was accident. That was my first reaction. I've seen all those angles before, but there was one from behind that has me revisiting that. That was the first time I've seen that angle from behind, which suggests that he should have had a greater duty of care. I think this one here. So that looks. So that's the first time I've seen that one from behind. That looks a lot worse. In slow motion, it looks terrible, Gerard. I'll argue the case with you on the Connor Nash one. In slow motion, it looks like it, but when you get knocked out, then you're in all sorts of trouble. You think it was well worthy, yeah?
Yep, I think it's clearly careless. Not callous.
No, careless.
I think Connor Nash was callous, but it only has to meet the threshold of careless. Nash got 4, so this fits neatly into 3.
Okay. Yeah, well, I can't really argue against it. I think my first gut reaction was, he didn't mean that in any way, shape or form. I thought he was having a swipe at the footy. I think the look from behind, I'm a bit more inclined to think. I was thinking then 1 week. I know it's not going to get to 1 week, but I'm in our own minds. But now I can't really argue the case too much about it. So unfortunate for a man who's had a good year. He's had a really good year.
So those hefty suspensions this year that were shown, this is the 3rd one North Melbourne have. They've challenged the previous 2. So Tom Sparrow's matters, so how he goes through the concussion protocol. Then the spin-off, and I wonder if North Melbourne balances this up, is Xerri's the leading contender to be the All-Australian ruckman, but there is a chasing brigade. It has Gawn, it clearly has Grundy, who's charging home at the moment, Luke Jackson and Darcy Cameron. Now, Gawn, Grundy and Cameron haven't missed a game. Jackson's missed 3 through injury.
Yep.
For the prestige that's on offer there, it would be a bad time to miss 3 games.
Yeah. Well, again, I don't want to make this a habit, but Max Gawn's not chasing anyone. They're chasing him. He's still the number one ruckman. And I really think Grundy's the one who's closest, and Cameron's breathing down his neck. And I'd have Xerri, who I really rate. But I think sometimes we get a bit carried away with the incumbent and the chasers. I don't think Tristan Xerri's able to do what Max Gawn does. He plays in a different manner. But Gawn, for me, is still the one. But it's Grundy that's closing really hard, and Cameron's had a fantastic year as well. And then over in the West, they'll be pushing hard for Jackson, but that's come late. And his time will come, I think. Where do you sit on it?
Yeah, I'm with Gawn and Grundy.
Yeah.
So there are those who are prepared to lock Xerri. If he serves his 3-match ban, you're going to unlock him.
Yeah.
He's no certainty.
That'll be a matter for the selectors, of course, but no, they're still chasing the big fish.
The other case that goes to the tribunal tomorrow night makes no sense to me. So this is Adam Cerra, who'll be the first test case under the crackdown on umpire contact. We referenced this at the time. There were 9 players who were immediately in jeopardy on the snap change in this rule, and Cerra was one of them. And this is how it progresses. It progresses through round 8, 2024, $1,250 fine, then round 20 of that year, $1,800 fine, and then up to $31.25, and now up to an appearance at the tribunal tomorrow night, which I can't fathom. This simply does not belong at the tribunal, and if I were the chairman halfway through tomorrow night's case, I would stop proceedings and go, I don't understand what you're asking us to do here.
I assume he's going to work out whether he's going to be suspended, not just fined.
Andrew Dillon has been at great pains to say that this is not going to result in suspension. So I don't understand what it's going to...
Did he say not going to or not necessarily resulting?
Well, I think he was trying to calm the horses in the days after they made their announcement.
He was to Damien Hardwick, who went very strongly in defence of Rao. I don't know whether he closed the door. I think it doesn't necessarily lead to a suspension.
So there's no possibility that what happened on Thursday night should result in a suspension. You can watch those for yourself and you can make your own judgments, and I'll give you the comparison piece in a moment. But I just don't understand what they're asking the tribunal for. And I guess we'll all learn. But if they go and ask for a $6,000 fine or an $8,000 fine, well, Harley Reid's just been given a $10,000 fine for his sixth incident.
Yeah.
This is the 4th of umpire contact, of which they're all... we're trying to avoid this, to give the umpires their space to get out. I do understand that.
Yeah.
But how this... I just don't understand what they're asking the tribunal to do. Just give him an extra $2,000.
Well, I assumed
it was.
I assumed that suspension was potentially still on the table, and that's what the tribunal would determine. And they might come back and say, no, you can have 10. There was a little umpire contact with Rowell and Dacos on Friday night, but this is how hypersensitive we are to it all. And it was the very, very tiny low end of the scale. So he's pushed. There's just a contact there. He backs out of it. Now, that hasn't been cited. But there was one that was involved Toby Green that we showed last week with Toby, that the contact wasn't much more than that resulted in a fine. So they're hypersensitive at the moment. And look, in my own mind, I thought that they were going to determine whether or not he was going to be suspended, because all the talk was, OK, if you do it again, you blokes, you've been told, you've been pointed out to you, if you do it again, you face suspension. That's what I assumed tonight.
So we sort of were given a crackdown and then told, but by the way, we're not cracking down on suspension. I can't fathom what the purpose of it is, and I guess we'll learn tomorrow night.
Well, I can't fathom what the purpose is for fining a man for an act that, had he done it on the first occasion, I would have suspended him for, let alone the 6th. That, Gerard, I'm sorry, and I've defended Harley across the journey, that is a suspension every day of the week. And if you condone this in the manner of just giving him a fine, money's not going to be a problem for Harley Reid. There's the playing cohort that are in the media now will all agree on that. That's the leg breaker. That's a kick, Gerard. I'm not being oversensitive, over dramatic. And as you know, I've been a defender of Harley's as a young, impetuous, brat that hasn't quite learned his way. But that's not a fine, Gerard. Let alone the 6th time he's been fined this year. That is a suspension for Harley Reid every single day. And if you don't suspend that, you leave the door open for lots of terrible incidents. And that's failed the game, that.
Yeah, if we are searching for the dangerous trip,
that's a fail,
every bit of it.
Sorry.
All right, the results themselves, and this set up as the most pivotal round of the season, one that was going to shape aspirations and probably shake out who the pretenders were as well. So the winning had consequence and was glorious.
Not this time. Friday night no winners tonight. Like, how big is that for the whole club?
Yeah, it's big.
This could be the year for the Gold Coast Suns. It's a huge win. It sets them up for a run to play in September.
We played an outstanding brand of footy, so, you know, I'm sitting there hoping that the city of Gold Coast jump on and look at this side and think, Christ, I want to be a part of this. You know, we're starting to build something I think that is unique, but also can be quite special.
Yeah, big win. Big win for our footy club.
The story today has been the Adelaide Crows and the statement they have made. And not just a statement, a powerful one at that.
We knew the challenge coming in, it was going to be a big one, and it wouldn't be perfect. We're aiming for perfect, but we weren't. But to get a win.
And the Giants slayed a giant today. Demolished the Cats.
We want to celebrate the game in the right way for him, but we also knew it was an incredibly important game against the Cats to continue to try and climb up that ladder.
A huge performance by the Dockers. They responded in the final quarter from 13 points down to win it by 13 points on a big Saturday night. That means so much for the finals push.
Probably a sign of the motto we've lived by over the last 8 weeks of just living in the moment and making sure we win each day and try and prepare our best.
Don't book the Bahamas just yet. Fremantle are into the 8.
Method and process, sometimes what matters is the 4 points, and this was a weekend for that. So what did it do on the Snakes and Ladders? Certainly for Fremantle, it enhanced their reputation, but also their position in things. The big losers are the Bulldogs, who slide their way out. Gold Coast climb, the Giants climb, Fremantle climb. And I was on the plane thinking about 9th. Whoever ends up there is going to be bitterly disappointed, because have a quick think. If it was the Dogs, what a blown season. If it was Fremantle, it would cost the coach his job. If it was the Giants, they can beat all the key players. If it was Hawthorn, that would be regression. If it was Gold Coast from here, it would be unthinkable. And then if I doubt any of the... Well, Geelong could fall out, and that would be bitter disappointment. But so the haves against the haves. I keep holding to the Bulldogs.
I know.
And I'm wrong.
Yeah.
1-7 is the same record against top 9 teams as Carlton and Richmond.
Yeah.
There are 4 teams, Melbourne, St Kilda, Sydney and Port, who have better records against them. Fremantle have a sneaky good record here at 5-2. But that's the contenders versus the contenders.
Yeah, at this stage of the year, at round 18, you are what you are, right? There's no... Early in the season when we're sitting here, we're sort of... casting forward, well, maybe that doesn't lie. So that's where they are, and they have to live with it, and there's no getting around that.
And
so,
this was the story of the Crows and the Bulldogs for you.
And the game going in, you think, geez, both sides are loaded in the front half, and both heavily scoring, 1 and 2, I think, for scoring. And the back half, some vulnerabilities lies in both. And the Western Bulldogs back half just didn't get it done, and Adelaide's did. And I couldn't help but thinking, Mark Keane has evolved into Liam Jones. Yeah. And they haven't got Liam Jones. So Liam Jones is no longer Liam Jones, if you know what I mean. Yeah. Mark Keane has been an unbelievable story. So he goes today, he just had to cover everyone because, they lost butts and everything else. And at the other end of the ground, they're screaming out for Liam Jones to be the Liam Jones he was 3 or 4 years ago, but he's not. And that's the gaping hole that had Silthorpe kick 6. Everything from a Western Bulldogs point of view, they lost by 2 goals. So it's not the end of the world. It's not a disaster. But the back 6 for the Adelaide Crows matched what they were doing in the midfield and up forward. They're a serious footy side, the Adelaide Crows. So they're going to be a really good watch.
So the predicament for the Bulldogs, is it solvable? Can they... So they're not in premiership contention now. They're not in the 8.
No.
Can they get there in a concentrated burst?
So the old premiership window that the boys next door that we've had doesn't lie either. So 20 out of 20 or 19 out of 19, you must be top 6 for defence. They're nowhere near it, Gerard. So they're not contending on that basis, which puts Luke Beveridge right in the position of where he's at his absolute best, when people tell him he can't, when people say your side can't. So they go up to Brisbane with their backs to the wall, Luke Beveridge, which is when he's at his absolute dangerous, which they're going to be a great watch too for the rest of this year, I reckon, because he knows the problem. How do you fix it? Get to work.
The story from Gold Coast was really clear, and that you couldn't go far enough. Most significant win in the club's history, puts the down payment on where they've never been before, and it crystallised for you in the very moments that it was unfolding.
Yeah, it did, and it came to the end. Like, they gave up 5 goals in a row. Elliott kicks the win, puts them 3 points ahead, and we know what Collingwood are like in that situation. They've been so brave, and your mind goes, there was an inevitability about this, but they refused to concede it. And it was the captain. It was Noah Anderson. I've already spoken about Rao, who's unbelievable. And the ball goes back into the middle of the ground where the ball has to be won. So they've been headed for the first time, Gerard. This is Anderson. He gets the deft touch, then good enough to win the footy back, and this leads to the goal that puts them back in front. So if you don't get the reply straight away against this Collingwood side, you just don't get the result you want because they're too good. So it's Noah Anderson who says, well, let me go in. Here's the free kick to Long. Ball comes back in. This is the very next centre bounce. So they've got the 3-point lead back, but the doubt's still there. What happens next? Captain gets involved again, gets the ball back. And at this point, secures victory, and in my little mind says that's the All-Australian captain right there.
First year in the job.
First year in the job. I'm pumping Noah Anderson as the All-Australian captain. And, there's this, I won't swear, there's this bulldust mentality that, you got to be in the job. It's he and Jordan Dawson. They're the two. Jordan Dawson's a superstar. So if he's the captain, I'm not blown about that. But Noah Anderson, to me, has been enormous, and his form, not only from a leadership point of view, his form is standing up week in and week out. So there's your development. Pre-game it was, can they match him in the middle? Can it be Anderson and Rowell and Miller? Well, it was all of that, and Humphrey was the other one that got involved. So great, we're going to get a new face in September.
And the demeanour of Damien Hardwick, so he knows the moments that represents breakthrough and the fresh threshold. Lift the horizon. This was the lift the horizon night.
Not sure who the cameraman was, but he gets votes. He gets GVP camera votes for that because you can keep it on the song. We've all seen the song. There's the proud father sitting out there just looking down, going, "Yep, that's exactly what we wanted to get out of Friday night. We didn't just." The victory, the 40 points that we got to was beautiful as well, but we got headed and then we dug deep and our leader took us to the promised land.
Fremantle spent the week under the microscope, having lost the place in the 8. So whoever's ninth is going to live this week, and then it's how you're going to respond. And they tackled their way through.
Yeah. There's a bit of this coming out. I thought Brisbane on Thursday night just smashed Carlton from a tackling point of view. I've still got Cam Rayner crunching blokes left, right and centre. And then this game, 103 tackles they laid. Brayshaw, captain. It was, when you go back and watch it, the pressure moments arise and then you go... Sometimes your mind just goes to places, Gerard, and Hawthorn get out and you go, they're out here against this Fremantle team. In the past, they weren't able to stop them or lay a tackle, but not on Friday night. And this spoke volumes as well. Longmuir under some pressure from externals like this. Look at these efforts here. One, then you think they're out. No, they're not. Then you think they're out. No, they're not. And then they're back and gone again. So I thought that was really significant. Brayshaw had 14, Johnson 9, O'Meara had 8. Got to work, and Jackson had half a dozen. I thought it was a massive part of what they did on Friday night. And this time of the year, there's a bit of a mentality around just tackle your way through this. Everything's not going beautifully, workload, training loads, all that sort of stuff. Let's tackle our way through it. First thing the Western Bulldogs players said on Saturday, what went wrong? Too many broken tackles. It was the first thing they said. That comes to the coach.
Yep.
Well, they tackled their way through that.
Mid-July. And then the Giants against the Cats. So the Giants have got this sneaky good record. Not sneaky good record, as you had your last dollar on them, and it's 4 in a row.
They did. I tell you what, they got Geelong's measure, 4 in a row. So they've beaten Geelong, they've beaten the Suns, and they've beaten the Lions in the last 4 weeks. So we'll talk to Adam Kingsley in a moment. So I'll save most of that for them. But no, that is a great form line coming in, and that form line against top 9 sides that we saw earlier would hold them in pretty good stead. And they've got players that are playing good footy. They've managed their playing group really well. And they got Taylor to come back into that side.
The Geelong side of things, they've now got this curious poor record against both the Lions and the Giants, which is unusual for Chris Scott-coached teams.
Yeah. Well, actually, Chris, in his press conference, which I love listening to anyway, he said, Hogan got us last time. That doesn't happen. Now, players don't kick big bags against us too often. And then Cadman comes out and kicks 6. So, they've worked it out pretty well.
All right, so those are the key 4 games from a pivotal weekend of footy, and one of the coaches is going to join us next. So Andrew McQualter and Adam Kingsley, the Giants coach, has his team surging with the good form line building, and Andrew McQualter. It's hard yards for the Eagles, who got perilously close yesterday.
Smooth Moves, brought to you by Jamison Whiskey.
The Jamison Whiskey Smooth Moves belong to Jason Horne-Francis, who was the centre of an awful lot of theatre and a wonderful moment of skill to get Port Adelaide home. He's done it with an acute broken foot, which has him bound for surgery potentially and maybe out for the remainder of the season. So as tensions were boiling over, Horne-Francis had his moments.
It's about when I tuned in, actually, Gerard, having watched a lot of other footy, and it got... the Eagles have been really brave. We've talked to Minnie about that, and it just got a bit big for him, but he was on fire, but that doesn't sound great. Sounds maybe the season.
All right, our coach is Andrew McQualter. Andrew, great to have you back with us. Welcome.
Thanks, Gerard. Thanks for having me.
Adam Kingsley, always great to have you on 360. Welcome back.
No worries, guys. Thanks for having me.
So before we delve into the events of this round and what it all meant, you're bound together by a Friday night from round 18, which has the unsavoury moment with Jack Graham, which a week later we learnt about, and it's a 4-week suspension from a homophobic slur. Andrew, I wanted to ask you, at what point did you have a conversation with Jack, and what was the nature of that chat?
Yeah, so I was made aware post-game of what Jack had said, and spoke to Jack, who's incredibly remorseful, as you'd expect, and so I was made aware of it post-game, and we made the Giants aware straight away.
Adam, did you think at that point it would be resolved by the 2 clubs?
Probably not. I mean, I think the process unfolded was to wait for an official report to be made by the umpire or any match day official, and when that wasn't lodged, then I think the appropriate course of action was taken. The AFL were alerted, and then the process sort of unfolded from that moment, from our perspective.
Andrew, last week, Jack was being spoken about as a future captain for the Eagles, perhaps even next season. Does it do anything in your eyes to his leadership standing within the club in the long term?
Oh, look, I think Jack made a really bad error, but I don't think we should judge a person just on one mistake. He's a terrific leader, and it was an out-of-character error, and he'll cop a severe punishment for it. And hopefully he's part of the solution going forward to continue to educate others.
Are you happy with... Not happy. Has it been appropriately dealt with by the league in your eyes, Andrew?
Yeah, Jack and the club, we accepted the sanction that was handed down to Jack, and he'll miss a month of footy.
And Adam, from the Giants' perspective, do you think it was handled right?
Yeah, we were satisfied with the process and the outcome. I mean, Jack reached out to both myself and the player involved and apologised. So I thought, that was good of both Jack and the West Coast Eagles. Very much appreciated, and so the process from then unfolded, and with the AFL involvement, they've decided on a course of action, which is not only a 4-match suspension, as I understand it, but it's also a little bit of education. And we all know that there's no place for that in our game. And people make mistakes, and it's important to educate and forgive, and that's what's happening in this process.
Yeah, well said. Now let's get to the events of the weekend, which are exciting for both of you, really. But from a Giants' point of view, the continued arrival of Aaron Cadman. We spoke to you last time about him and his abilities. I heard you talk about him post-game. I mean, you've seen this coming for a while. It's nice to get it rubber stamped and then get a signature on a contract.
Yeah, it certainly is. Timely too, I might add. On the back of the weekend's performance, it was done the day before. So whether that released a little bit of anxiety or anything around that, he certainly performed terrifically. It was a key part of our game. And I've spoken in the past about how he is continually putting himself in positions to impact games, to mark the balls. I think he's the best follow-up key forward in the competition. But for him to be able to, take his marks and finish his work was was really important for us, no doubt. But it'll be really important for him moving forward too. You know, he's played less than 50 games, or about 50 games, sorry, and continuing to develop. So the confidence that he'll generate out of that is hopefully takes him another step forward.
So you got Jesse as your nominal full forward. You got Jake, who you've handled really well, and Toby and whoever else you want going through there. It looks so capable. What do you call him, Aaron Cadman? Old-time centre-half forward? Where is he playing?
He's kind of like a secondary key forward. I mean, he has the running capacity to play like an old-school key forward, like a Nick Rewald or a Jonathan Brown, but I think he's so versatile. He can get up the ground and compete up there, but he can also work his way back inside forward 50s. I think he's developing his split technique, his ability to get split on his opponent and to generate some easy uncontested marks. But it was really his contested marking and his ability to finish sort of snaps. I think maybe is part of the reason why he was able to sort of generate the type of game that he did. But he's incredibly versatile. I mean, early days we were training him as a second ruck. I don't think that was all that conducive to performing as the key forward after that. But we've managed to sort of settle him down, and he keeps presenting. I mean, that's the thing. You know yourself as a forward, if you can get in line of the ball and keep presenting, whether it's at the leg or over the back, you keep the ball getting kicked to you, and you give yourself opportunity.
Number 1 draft picks. Andrew, what did you make of Harley Reid and Jason Horne-Francis and their various footballing moments and their various battles across yesterday?
Yeah, they both love the battle, don't they? They're good competitors. I thought there was some good theatre yesterday. Unfortunately, Horne-Francis probably got the cream in the end when he kicked that goal. But I thought it was a good battle. I love the way Harley competes. I love the way Horne-Francis competes and butters. I think they're good for the game, the way they go about it. And you know, Harl's just he's carrying a big load in our midfield at the moment, and I think he's doing a good job. We've got a young midfield. That's what we've got at the moment. Unfortunately, Yowie hasn't played any games for us this year. So Harley's in the fight every game, which we love.
So the theatre is real, and it was good to watch. I'm wondering about, you know, your frustration or otherwise with, you know, some of the things he does, and where's the line on it? And have you been hard enough in trying to establish, you know, what's acceptable and what's not acceptable from, you know, someone as young as he is, but someone that's obviously so important to you?
Yeah, it's an ongoing battle. We're sort of having it a bit with a few of our other players as well. Just we want our players to be fiercely competitive, but we also want to stay incredibly disciplined and not give away free kicks. We have some challenges with the territory game as it is, so we don't want to give opposition any easy ones. So we're going to keep trying to be fierce, but not give away any free kicks.
And what does he say to you when you... So we're looking at the trip here, which I'm really strong at. I think he's unbelievably lucky to be playing this weekend. I think he should have been suspended, and they've missed a trick here, the AFL. But what's his response when you do sit down and say, come on, mate, there are things that you're doing really well, but there are things you've got to get better at, and you're a bit of a recidivist in some of these areas?
Yeah, he's certainly responsive to it. He understands that he wants to win and compete, but he has to get his balance right. And I think when I was 20 years old, I made a few mistakes as well, and part of his learning process that he's going through, and I've got no doubt he'll continue to improve and get better at it.
Adam, what are you getting out of Jake Stringer at the moment?
Yeah, we like the way he's working into our. We like the way he's working into the system in front of the ball. You know, he's working incredibly well with his teammates. And you mentioned a few of them before, but you've got Callum Brown, Darcy Jones, Toby Bedford now working in there. Toby Green's reasonable. With Brent Daniels hopefully to get back pretty soon. So he's playing a really important role ahead of the ball. He's bobbing up and kicking some goals. You know, that Gold Coast game a few weeks ago, he kicked 2 of the more amazing goals you'll see right when we needed them. And so his ability to finish his work has been a little bit subpar, I guess, over the course of the season, but feels like he's coming good at the right time. So really important. Our players loving having him as a teammate and really enjoying him.
It seems like you've managed it beautifully, whether by good luck or design. Like, he's had a few injuries, so he's had to have some time away, and you brought him back and he played the sub and then lit the joint up when he came back on. He looks lean, he looks fit. Is it a management thing? Is it a bit of his penny drop? Is it a bit of the fact that he needs you more than you need him? How do you see it?
Oh, I think it's probably a combination of all that. He came in. He was a little bit unlucky early part of the season. He got some illness early on, and I think that's probably contributed to some soft tissue stuff. So he did a hamstring early on in the season, and then round 9, I think it was, against the Cats down there, was another slight hamstring injury. So he could have been back a couple of weeks, but we decided to sort of try and give him a mini pre-season throughout the middle of the year. So he came back in for that Gold Coast game after missing about 5 or 6 weeks, I think it was, and feels like he's in really good shape. But again, you never know, and he's making a really great contribution, not only hitting the scoreboard, but as I said, playing a role and pressuring, and a really good tackle in the forward pocket against one of the Cats players where he didn't kick the goal, but it's just a sign of his intent to support his teammates and really contribute, and that's what we love about him most so far.
Andrew, mid-July and one win to your name. I love Gary's word, nourishment. Sometimes you need the nourishment of a win. How are you going without that and the gains that you're trying to make?
Just before I answer that, Gerard, I was a bit disappointed the cameras didn't catch Kingers and his Speedos down there at the beach before. Most certainly would have been in them. But, if you look at our season from a win-loss, it's been brutal. Like, it's really hard to be at this point of the season as really competitive people and players and only have one win. So that's challenging, but it's funny that we've kind of got this feeling at the moment, and I'm really confident that we're getting better. And I know it sounds a bit silly to say when we've only had one win, but we're working really hard in our game. We are seeing improvements each week, but we've still got some challenges and been able to put it together for 4 quarters. So we understand where we are as a club. We're on a journey. We're playing some good quarters, and our best footy's pretty competitive against most teams, but unfortunately the gap at the moment is too big.
You found a couple of big key forwards in Shanahan and Williams that can carry you forward?
Yeah, I think we really have. And even Archer Reid, who's not playing at the moment, we're in a position where we've got our 2 best key forwards not playing in Jake Waterman and Oscar Allen through injury. So it provides opportunity. And we've seen Job Shanahan come in the last 3 weeks, and he looks every part of an AFL player. And as you don't get many 18-year-olds competing like this in our game. So it's great to see some of those guys getting opportunity, and it's exciting for the future.
Adam, it was such a pivotal round in trying to shake things out, so it's a big 4 points to get. Have you got the evidence in recent weeks that you can be right in it?
Yeah, we certainly have. I mean, we've always felt that, but it's always nice to get a bit of verification by beating some really good teams. And as you mentioned earlier, we've beaten 3 top 8 teams in the last 4 weeks: Gold Coast, Brisbane, up there, and Geelong at home. So, we take great confidence out of that. We've still got a lot of work to do to try and build towards September and qualify. We're well aware of that. We've got a 5-day break down at Marvel against Essendon this weekend. So, that'll present some level of challenge, in terms of our group. But, the games they don't seem to get any easier. We've got to try and capitalise and continue to build, and we're well aware of that. But certainly the win against the Cats was super important to progressing forward.
So knowing it's a 5-day break with travel, have you already made your plans sort of well in advance as to who will and who won't? We've made some plans. So there'll be a couple of players who won't play. Are you going to tip your hand just yet?
You could probably guess who they are. I mean, Jesse Hogan was one guy we were a little bit cautious about playing in the game against the Cats with his week previous with a foot and illness. So he won't make the trip down to Melbourne. So we'll manage him and make sure that foot settles down a bit.
All right, our coaches on duty, Adam Kingsley and Andrew McQualter, will broaden out in a moment. And then on the couch, so this is a special edition. It's a throwback edition. They're here together again.
If Mike Sheen doesn't turn up in a pink shirt, I'll be very, very disappointed, Gerard.
Surely, yes. Mike Sheen, Lee Matthews, together again on the couch, coming up shortly. favourite footy club other than his own is Liverpool, and these scenes were something special post-game for Lachie Whitfield, just the third Giant to reach 250 games, and the club celebrated him in great style with the banner and the music. And for a start-up club, as they start to get these loyal servants all the way through, it enriches the milestones, I reckon.
I think the Giants do this as well as any club. I know they all do it really well, celebrating their players and milestones, but he's become such an important part of what you do, Kingers. I saw Josh Dacos go from half-back flank into the middle and rip the game to shreds on Friday night. Lachie just found his slot at half-back and never really came back into the middle. Is he destined to finish there?
More than likely. I mean, we have used him in the middle when we've needed it over the last couple of years, and he's done an incredible job for us. But yeah, he's such a good half-back. That was a great way to celebrate his 250th. That You'll Never Walk Alone, and they had the song playing in the background, all on the back of Liverpool. It's a little bit more emotional than perhaps just Lachie just being a Liverpool supporter and watching the Premier League on TV. Apparently, his grandfather grew up a pretty tough life in Liverpool, and the Liverpool Football Club became a real important pillar in his life, which really helped him, make it a good life. And so it's a bit of a family thing. That, as I understand it, that it runs a little bit deeper than just being a supporter. So for our club to identify that and celebrate that, I thought it was fantastic for Lachie and his family.
That's lovely. How are you utilising Callan Ward at the moment? We saw him down with you at on the bench.
Yeah, Cal's such a, I don't know, he's so calming. It doesn't matter what the situation is. He just seems to have a really level head and some sound advice. So want him to try and mix in with our players and our staff down there just to calm things down when it's required, or rev things up when it's required. He's such a wealth of knowledge to our playing group and our coaching staff. So anything he can offer us down there, I think, is incredibly valuable. And I think we saw some of the fruits of that during the game. You've got Essendon and Richmond. Would you like Gary's notes, Andrew, from what transpired on Saturday night? I think he's got reams and reams of them.
Yeah, I watched the game as well, so I've got a few of my own, but we can share them later, Gaz, if you like.
So, actually, West Coast have got Richmond and the Giants have got the Bombers, so I know you've got to do your homework and your due diligence. Don't spend too much. That's all. Don't spend too much time on it, boys.
So, Andrew, you played a great game at the MCG earlier in the season. Will you, we spoke about the elusive wins, will you try to build this game right up as, I don't know, will you make it something special to try to get that win?
Oh, look, we won't, mate. It's I appreciate that Richmond are in a similar position to us in terms of their age profile and ladder position, but it's funny. I remember talking to Kingers about this quite a few years ago when he worked at the Saints, and they had a few lean years that genuinely each week I sort of do the prep for a game, and I get to a Friday and I believe we can win every game of footy. Yeah. So that's sort of how you end up as a coach, and this week I'm confident we'll do the prep and we'll feel no different on Friday.
Have you had any joy going to the umpires previously, Adam, or on a specific player? So your old boss, Damien Hardwick, rolled it out with Matt Rowell, and he got a season-high 7 free kicks, which just felt a little bit cause and effect.
Yeah, well, I haven't, to be fair, I haven't done a lot of it. Every now and then you send clips in just to kind of get a feel for what the decisions were and whether we were hard done by. But really, it's more about trying to make yourself feel a little bit better about decisions than anything else. So, but if it's going to have the impact that perhaps Dimmer had with the umpires, then maybe we should do it a little more often.
It was quite a funny the way it unfolded. Probably the live issue around umpires at the moment is getting out of their space and the player contact. And we're about to see a test case tomorrow night where I'm not quite sure what the AFL's endeavours are with Adam Cerra. Have you thought about this a bit? Have you spoken to your players? Have you got a suggestion at all, Andrew, first?
Oh, it's incredibly tricky. We've got a player that's on, I think, three strikes already, so he's one away from going to the tribunal. You could have a bit of a guess on who you think that player might be, but we presented it to our players last week, and yeah, it's such a challenge because there's so much stoppage craft. there's matchups, there's all these things happening. It's a 360 game. It's really challenging. So there's not an easy answer to it, I don't think. It's going to be fascinating to see what happens tomorrow night at the tribunal.
Adam?
Well, it feels like the issues are centre bounce and midfield ball-ups, really, or ball-ups over the ground, probably. And I don't know, is there a time thing? We're desperate to keep the game moving. Do we throw the ball up too quickly before players have had a chance to get out of the way? Should we stand behind the rucks and throw the ball? Should we sort of ball the ball up like it's a boundary throw-in? I'm not sure. There's probably a bunch of different suggestions, but it's going to be a difficult one. I think we all agree that the fact that we need to try and minimise the contact between umpires and players to protect both, really, not just the umpires but also the players. And so any solution that anyone has that's going to alleviate that's going to be a good one.
You two boys started Fix It. Jared's had some success. We'll give you a night off tonight. Kenny Hinkley had the teeth going. You had the pythons on the weekend. Is that the go-to lolly for you, Kingers?
Well, after you demonstrated the teeth last week, yeah, the pythons are definitely mine. Yeah, I do enjoy a lolly or two, but yeah, the pythons are the go-to.
And the open slather for the ruck contest, which you suggested, is still the clubhouse leader, Minnie. We're still selling that hard.
Let the big boys go at it.
Yep. Good on you. Great to have you both with us. Good luck for what's to come next.
Good on you, boys.
Thanks, fellas.
Andrew McQualter, Adam Kingsley with us on Coach's Night, Players' Nights. The Essendon captain, Zach Merris, will be with us at the desk. And the injured veteran magpie, Jeremy Howe. So just what is the extent of that groin injury we'll learn tomorrow night.
NAB Goal of the Year nominees.
The NAB Goal of the Year nominees are all the better when they are so implausible as this.
My hand high in the air. I said, what are you doing, Pito? Let's get to the half-time break. And he knew better, the big fella.
He did, Mark Pitnetz. You've shown this already, Noah Anderson. A moment in time, as well as the sheer skill out of the middle to get that done. And Sam Darcy's going to spend his career doing preposterous things.
Yeah, look at this, Jared. He was overshadowed on the night by the big fella at the other end in Riley Thilthorpe. But look at this ball control for a 210 centimetre.
Lovely.
He might be right, that fella.
Yes, he might be. Pitnet's going to carry the day there. On the couch in a moment's time, Lee and Mike back together again. The 360 scramble. Oh. The Essendon play, was it worse? How could it get any worse? And it did.
I know.
The Nick Martin one's a shocker.
It was unbelievable. It was happened in the first 5 minutes, and it was just a bump, innocuous over the boundary line onto the hard stuff. But we thought, maybe he's knocked his knee, but he's out for a year, and the worst time to get an ACL too. Going to go through 2 pre-seasons probably before he plays footy again, which I have fingers crossed he comes back earlier.
That's just macabre what's going on there. But they've got 6 of their last 7 games in prime time. They've got 3 Friday nights, a Thursday night, plus they're going to play twice in round 24, which will have to be Thursday night and Wednesday night.
The greatest misread of all time.
And they had the flexible fixture.
The fixturing misread of the century.
Yep.
Horrible.
Horrible. Zach Merritt joins us at the desk tomorrow night. All right. Is he in the pink?
$1.16 it was.